Greetings and welcome, everyone. This is Into the Nexus, the podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. I'm Garrett, here as always with Kyle. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, Garrett?
You look very amused with yourself. Like you just thought of a funny joke that no one else has heard.
Audio podcast and all that. You know when a call's getting going and you're like, I can fix my camera real quick, and you can't? That's what just happened. So welcome everybody.
Are you having one of those random green screen ain't behaving days?
Yeah.
Nothing is different, but the green screen just isn't behaving?
Just doesn't really want to do its thing, and you know that's okay. That's okay. It's an audio show. Welcome everybody. Welcome.
Welcome indeed. Welcome to the episode of Into the Nexus, Kyle, where we were pretty damn certain we were going to have a balance patch to talk about, but it turns out, nah.
They tricked us. The launcher was sitting there. Yeah, I will say it. The launcher was sitting there, and it said it was going to be down to like 2 in the afternoon, and I'm like, oh, that's a long time. That must be big. And it was done at like 11. They got in there. They turned it off and on again, and nothing happened. I mean, maybe something happened. Maybe refreshes. I don't know. I know they got to like refresh the MMOs to make sure they don't misbehave in the middle of the night or something. Make sure boss didn't get free. But they gave it the weekly reset, and it was done.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. Same heroes we had last week, which is fine.
That's fine.
Heroes is really good last week. I'm glad we can do it again this week.
It was a good one. I mean, Diva's just kind of permanent banned right now unless you make the mistake and let her through. I'm enjoying the game overall right now. So it's my third week in a row, playing with a quote unquote team. I'm going to use that term very, very, very lightly because I've only played with Deribo regularly. Is the only through lines for this. Twammy was there for 2 out of the 3, but whatever the case is, we had to move knights because I don't know if you heard or anything, Kyle, but there was like this giant patch in Hearthstone that ruined Battlegrounds. And no opinions given.
So it was a little busy Monday, so we moved it to last night, and you were able to join us. We got more team games in, man. I love playing team games with you.
Oh, it was a delight. I got to be support. That was a blast. It's different. It's got its own stresses, but it's really
Kyle,
nice
did you say support?
To engage.
Kyle, support means Medivh and Zarya.
Oh,
jeez. We had this conversation last week, didn't we?
Jeez. You know how many videos, recordings I've had to do, Blizzard, because you couldn't use the word we all use? I get all the way done with my script. I put it in the video, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm saying support. And it is 4 heroes.
Man, when I first started playing this, I was still tanking in World of Warcraft, so I was calling them healers. And they're like, nope, they're called supports. And it stayed that way for like 4 freaking years. And then they're like, no, it's called healers. I'm like, but no, my brain.
Like, I know they couldn't use probably specialists again or maybe like strategists, but please, just for our sanity, do it.
Do it.
Update that name.
Do it, man.
Just free up support. That's all you don't have to make healer supports. Just free up the word so we can use the word we want. So what was the highlight? What was your hero's highlight this week, man? Like, was it supporting last night? Was it just like, did you end up on a hero you don't normally play? That you're like, oh damn, I forgot how much I love this. Like, what was it? I'm a dirty villain, man. I am using.
You got to run Diva, didn't you?
No.
Okay.
Well, I did, yeah. Early on in the week, I did, yeah.
Okay, so you're a villain.
We got a little beat in that game. But I have been using Storm League to practice. And I have found the exact point where things get weird. Last week, I was like, it's some Diamond 2, Diamond 1, somewhere around there you start playing with Masters. It's 500 points, Diamond 2. The second you crest over that hill, you get Masters. So I've probably been doing this backwards, which isn't very kind of me. But when I fall below Diamond 2 halfway right now, I'm like, okay, Diablo, bam, main build, bam, fly back and get over that hump. All right, now that I'm over the hump full of 3,000 point masters, let's work on May. Let's work on May.
Yes.
Let's work on May. or let's work on Flame Stomp Diablo, or let's explore in this more tough environment. This is where I can practice for NGS and learn some interesting things. And they're very mad about it, which is fair. I'm not trolling. I'm giving my all, but I don't really know how May peels. And I don't think she does. Sort of. She does, sort of. Like, it's easy to peel versus, like, Imperious or that sort of thing, because he's going to go in with a spear for an extended period of time and stand in one area and want to do things in that area for a while. So you drop your Blizzard on top of the team fight that's happening, and everyone tries to crowd around him, and Greymane goes in. There you can peel. But when you got, like, Valas and ETCs and, like, everything they do is pretty snappy, and the time the Blizzard takes to actually complete the stun means that mosh pit still went for a full 2 seconds before you could react, you can't really peel in that situation. So I had a lot of very high point masters very angry at me this week, yelling at me, never tank again, you're trash, so on and so forth. And of course, in my head, I'm just like, oh, you know, what can I do? I'm learning. Thank you for the experience. But it does, you know, I've got my issues that I'm using the mode in this way, and it is a great way to improve. I've learned a lot this week. I am improving, which is very enjoyable. But it's also not fair to say, Diamond 2 guy, here's a 3,000 and above point masters for your team. That person, if I was gold, would be plat. They'd be masters. So I'm a gold to this masters, even though I'm a diamond to the masters in terms of like 1,000 points divided away in leagues. That is absurd. That this poor Chromie, or actually, if I might say poor Anduin, that's the one I really remember, who desperately wanted peels from the May. And I can't provide them like other tanks can while I'm working on this hero, and she just doesn't have a kit that's snappy enough for me to peel. Like I can go icing over just and give him a little boop, but it's not the size of Face Melt. It's not as disruptive as Johanna. She doesn't have a shield that bounces around and interrupts multiple people in different angles. She has a snowball that I need to predictively aim ahead of time. Like basically what I figured out. One thing is that May came out. She's hard. She's very hard. I mentioned that last week, but she's just hard and she makes people mad. So I might be giving up on this project, but not quite yet. But when May came out, we were in a Bloodlust meta. And it was very easy to snowball. Avalanche, as it's called.
Oh, okay. I'm like, wait, snowball is in pick up momentum and win the game, or
yeah, right. And I think she has an ability called snowball, right, or slush ball, or something like that.
Yeah,
or that's talent. Great.
That's cute.
So we were doing Bloodlust comps with lots of auto attackers. So here comes a tank with blind and basically a mighty gust. And so everyone went, row, 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 run, Bloodlust, and you just go, pa-choo, and fire your avalanche through them. Super easy to read and figure out. But now, amongst masters, I have to learn that the enemy Johanna is kind of aggressively positioning faster than my team can adapt and faster than my kit allows me to peel for. So I have to pre-peel Johanna. Like, imagine getting in a fight with a Falstad. Or not only you're positioning for an objective with Falstad, and Johanna like comes out of bush and Falstad's like, oh my goodness, and just like mighty gust just to Johanna away. Nobody in that match would be like, nice job, Falstad.
Good
way
work.
To go, champ. Getting it done. But that's what May needs to do, and because of her lack of peels on her kit and the job she's supposed to be fulfilling.
So you just need to be significantly less precious about your avalanche.
Yeah, and that's a good assessment too, because it is a longer cooldown now, but I also need to use it regularly to give me fights that are superior to the ones that are breaking out in the area, particularly when those fights that are breaking out are involving 3,000 point masters players.
Right. Yeah. I never thought about the point spread as you've pointed it out here. Like that 3,000 point spread. That is absolutely insane. Are we circling back around to like something's got to be done with this? Like
What are they going to do? Like add 3 divisions above Diamond in order to make sure that they're properly divided from me? We're looking at 2% of the player base here.
Right. You're at the end of the bell curve.
Yeah.
There's only so many beyond you.
Right. I'm at 10% being in Diamond, and then over this hump I enter 2% games. I don't expect the system to be able to adapt to that very well. But I also can't, for NGS's sake, I can't go back to Diamond 1 this time, just playing ETC and Diablo over and over again, because ETC is so hotly contested and my Diablo is ban out, and I'm so flattered because I have a 70% win rate in those systems.
So you kind of pitched, you teed this up as you going about this backwards, right? You said, "Oh, maybe I'm going about this backwards. I'm trying to practice it once I get over a certain hump." But it sounds to me like you were left with basically no other choice. You need to learn because your standard, like your practiced picks, are done. Although I guess you did mention that you were off building Diablo in some of those games. I'm on to you, Kyle. Right. I'm on to you.
Yeah, and it happens. There are those games, particularly where you are just the sacrificial lamb. That flame stomp build, that's how I see it, really. It's not about spell damage or hellfires, which are nice, or lightning breaths. It's about, I'm going to get so turbo schooled over and over again on Diablo that I need to regain souls quickly, and flame stomp build is going to allow me to do that. And it's so different than the auto attack build or the stun build. I love Diablo. He's my most played hero, but he's not available in NGS for me. So I think I've been making the right choice, but I am sad that I've made so many masters very angry at me this week.
Well, you performed fantastically in our games together last night.
Oh yeah, that was a delight. I got to play Ana. I got to play the Malfurion, which you didn't catch because it was Braxis, and thank you for covering the solo lane so well.
Dude, that was the most by the book. That was Heroes of the Storm vacation for me. It was just like, hey, take Rexar top. By the way, you're laning against an Artanis. Like, okay, cool. Sure. I accept your invitation to own.
I'm glad it was easy up there for you. We had a ETC Imperious Malfurion combo with a Sylvanas doing the damage. So either ETC or Imperious would set up, the root would follow. It was all very easy. It would hit multiple people. Moonfires healed great because it was hitting multiple people. The first game on, I got to do Eye of Horus, which was a delight because I didn't have to nano boost, as all we had was a Vala, double support Vala, even with Ariel Ana, which I'd never seen before, but it worked out great. And in the late game, and it was a little rough early on there.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, the treat for me was the Gazlo game.
Yeah.
God, what was the map? I don't remember, but
that was Curse Hollow.
That was Curse Hollow. Yeah. Because I think I was thinking Sonya, and then they picked ETC, and I was just like, every week there's been at least one game where we died horribly to a fantastic mosh pit, and so I was like, well, what solo laner can interrupt mosh pit? And I was like, hey, you know what? TNT explodes real fast now on Gazlo, and so I pitched it, and everyone was like, yeah, screw it, just bring the Gazlo, and it worked out so well. So that was nice.
What build are you going? Or should I ask, whose build are you going?
Whose build are you going? I'm going Hot Slogs build, man. Going Hot Slogs build. Let me pull it up so I don't mispronounce or misspeak, because I know it's not called TNT, but I can never remember what it's actually freaking called. Explodium. There you go, Kyle. And then let me switch it to the most recent patch, so that I'm not looking at old talents. But here we go, Kyle. You know, if we take a look at what's performing well over on the Gazlo, I'm going for win rate, not pick rate. Okay, so everyone likes big game hunter. I get it. Who doesn't want more scrap? But you know what I want? More range on my Explodium. And so I'm going rocket boots at 1. I'm going hyper focus coils at 4. I'm going overload at 7. Although I guess Goblin Fusion is just starting to eke that out. But there's really good talent diversity between those two. They're both Death Laser talents, and as I mentioned, I think it was 2 weeks ago now. If you're having trouble with Gazlo, you're probably just not landing your Death Laser. It's such an important part of just not dying on Gazlo.
Overload is amazing too, because you have one laser to keep yourself high while you get into position.
Mm-hmm.
and then you have the second laser to follow up your combo.
It's such a nice fake out too, because a lot of people see the one and they kind of go in if they haven't checked your talents, obviously. Which if I keep playing with people like you and Doribo, they'll probably be checking my talents every freaking game. But yeah, and then obviously Grabo Bomb. I love Robo Goblin, but there's just so much combo potential with Grabo Bomb.
Sure.
It's hard to say no to, especially now that Explodium explodes so quickly.
Well, and the bonus text there of 30% more damage for 5 seconds from basic abilities.
Yeah. Yeah. And then level 13, a lot of really good talent diversity. Again, I prefer superior schematics to make your turrets attack 2 additional enemies.
Sure.
And then it's from there on out, it's our arc reactor, which reduces the cooldown of Explodium charge by 3 seconds. And also gives you the mini turrets that after the Explodium charge explodes, it's such a nice piece of burst damage. And then beyond that, it's raining scrap, at the end. So I can just drop a ton of turrets and not be so precious about my scrap post level 20.
All right. Yeah, that's a good build. I like it.
Yeah, it's been working out. I've been mostly drafted. This is the most I've drafted like regularly in a while. So I haven't played a ton of Gazlo. But when I have, like, it's a pick for me now. It's there. It's in my back pocket, and I can totally remove it from the toolkit when needed.
That's awesome. So you got a nice little trifecta then with Sonya, Rexar, and Gazlo.
Yeah. I gotta say, man, right now I think I get the most excited when it's like when I see that it's Malthael time. I love subbing in a Malthael as the off lane. But it's pretty seldom where I feel like it would work because of he's just so damn squishy. Like if he gets caught, like if Gazlo gets caught, he's got the health to get away. Rexar, the goal is to just not get caught because you got the bear in front of you all the time, and then Sonya has all that self healing, right? So
you're also doing rocket boots, which gives you 20% movement speed on that Gazlo. So getting out is okay. No, I feel you there. Malthael is vulnerable. I love him in the double soak. I got to take him this week and double soak to Dragonshire versus a Leoric and even won a little bit. My team got destroyed. Again, Muradins everywhere. Just tons of Muradins, and they're just like the May. They can't peel because they're doing their own thing.
He's my quick match pick right now. Like when I do play quick match, I've just been going in as Muradin. It's fun. I've been having a good time. It's the most I've ever enjoyed him. There's been multiple times over the history of the game where I've tried him and he just hasn't stuck. And I think it's just because I've seen so many damn Muradins and I've been playing against them. And Muradin's one of those ones where I think like it's pretty easy to pick up on how other Muradins are using him just by watching them play. And so I'm just like, I kind of have an idea about what I want to do.
It's not an impossible learning curve either. I mean, you've been playing Leap Sonya for a long time, so jumping, leaping, repositioning.
You're right. It's just like, oh, do you like Leap Sonya? Well, what if you could leap from level 1?
Right. And then you have a skill shot that is faster and perhaps better than Spear. And it also is working really well in our current Gladiators Medallion world, which I think is where I really settle on Muradin. He doesn't suffer because the speed and frequency of those storm bolts. Whereas after last week's show, you and I sat down for a game and I played Kel'Thuzad, and that was just the saddest pile of to ever happen. Like there was a white mane over there for one, but felt like every single chain was just letting those sound effect farts rip, and everybody was unstoppable the whole time.
Yeah. The white mane definitely didn't help though. My God. How many times? It was like that. Do you remember the Anduin that we played against last night? It was just like every single time we had a pick, it didn't happen.
Anduins have gotten good. I mean, I even saw a Stitches Anduin this week.
I've been seeing more frontline Stitches. Like what? I don't know what's happening, but it works. People have proven me wrong on Stitches, Kyle. Turns out when you're an active member of the team fight, he functions pretty well.
This combo though is like Medieval Light. You gorge and then Anduin yanks you backwards. So there's no need for the Stitches to do the repositioning and to change his front line play.
Oh, okay.
And then
you better be
And it's unstoppable, right? So the Medivh, you can like CC and try to stop them from running the portal, but the Ando in hand, you cannot stop.
That is true.
There's probably like a stasis that can stop unstoppables midair.
I guess you know what? Because I'm thinking about it, because like I'm recoiling against that, because I'm like, you know what happens is someone gets caught out and then you don't have leap to save them. But you know, on paper, I like that so much better than like Bush, Stitches, Gorge run behind the wall, because if you're doing the Stitches, Gorge, you know, yank with Anduin, there's at least two members of the team that are definitely on the same page. Whereas a lot of times I think the issue with Stitches is that only Stitches is on the page that Stitches is on, and everyone else is trying to play a traditional, you know, game of Heroes of the Storm.
I would say it's the best version of them all, because you're not burdening your lane clear or your solo lane or your assassin roles by doing something wild like Medivh or boost Tyrael to get Stitches into the back line. Like, your support is handling that job, and supports have been cut out from the lane clear job in the first place.
Those are all really good points. Am I turning a Stitches corner?
They've gotten better.
Call it, Kyle. How many weeks or months do you think it is before I get on here and go, so I played some Stitches this week?
If it's gonna happen, it'll eventually happen. Don't you worry. But there's nothing wrong with admitting you were wrong when the situation changed on you, right? That's called adapting.
That's called this podcast.
Yeah, it depends, right?
Yeah. I'm not interested in just sticking with the same train of thought. I came around on Diablo. I would like to come around on Stitches.
I don't even remember that. Did you hate Diablo?
Yeah. Do you not remember? It was like I feel like 4 months of us in unison yelling, stop banning Diablo.
Yeah.
He's bad. He was like below Genji in win rates.
Okay, yes, we were both trashing on him for a long time there. I was thinking more like, you know, in our Tychus days of being like, what's this hero for? He's useless. And then, we figured out, no.
This was like post nerf Diablo. I want to say it was like last year. I feel like most of last year we were both on the stop banning and stop picking Diablo train.
Man, that was weird. I'm honestly kind of curious and heading over to Heroes patch notes to see what happened, because I know that the life leech thing happened. That was back in July 15th. And then we did like some Devastate charge changes. They messed with this. That's right. They kept having to nerf him over and over again throughout 2019 to get rid of the public perception that he was still amazing, so people would stop banning him, basically. What a weird time it must have been to be a balance designer. To have to nerf something to stop a ban that wasn't needed.
It worked.
It did.
It was very effective. It took a while, but it was effective. I like to blame us. I think we were such salty jerks about Diablo. People
I like to blame us. Okay.
Yeah, blame us for.
We could say we could take credit, but I prefer the way you put it.
For spreading the good word.
Yeah.
Ding dong, the devil is dead. So, well, that's great. Yeah, man, I'm really enjoying the game at the moment. I always welcome balance patches. I like to see which way they're going to mold the clay. But like overall, I'm happy with things. I'm very happy, like personally, with the game. As you meant, like you kind of mentioned, like my three mainstays. Like it's nice. Now that it's not even full coordinated play. I'm not playing with the same team every week, but it's just nice going in knowing some of the roles are covered, so that I can focus on a role, so that I can I can feel safe in knowing I'm going to get the solo lane for this entire session. And so that's where I'm going to practice. That's what I'm going to put my effort into. And there's so much of that is rewarding, which is good because it leads, as you've pointed out, into new challenges, because you're going to start going up against also coordinated opponents.
Well, and just in the solo lane, the ability to identify what's going on is really nice. Because playing with your group, you had a lot of really cool, chill people that when things got behind, or even when we lost, we're just down to mention what happened and move on. We didn't have to imagination fix the previous match after losing. We acknowledged what was happening. Like that double soak mouthfeel game I had this week. Ding, Jaina dies. And you're like, what does that mean? Did Jane overextend? Can Muradin not tank? Is Vala... What happened down there that I can't now enjoy my job? And I have to lane against Leoric with a 3-level deficit.
Yeah. I think this might be part of what I like about like coordinated or semi-coordinated play is that there's, and I'm sure everyone has a different style, right? Like I'm sure there's shot callers out there that are, very vocal and loud and critical. One of my favorite raid leaders was like that, but there's like, me, I love talking smack. I get heated when I'm in a competitive environment, but when there's more than 2 people grouped up in Heroes of the Storm, to me, I just sense like there's not enough room to just sit there and like talk smack or just clog the comms. They need to be open for strategy. And so it like forces me to kind of be zen and focus.
Well, I think that's an accidental design feature of the game because of the short res timers for the most part. And if you die with a long res timer, it was during the late game when there's a lot to think about how you're going to recover from the situation. Can we get a boss? What are we going to do at the next objective? It keeps the mind in the game. And I felt that with Dota when you were dead for just so long. First of all, I'd usually go get a cheese stick and some orange juice because I was, 14. But
Kyle,
and yet,
that was more than half your life ago.
I know.
Think about that.
I remember. I remember that orange juice, and it was downstairs too. Like I would go, run down there, get the cheese stick, and then
did you do the double stairs, like 2 stairs at a time on the way back up? Because you're a lanky boy like me.
Yeah. Well, that came later because I didn't hit the growth spurt till like 10th grade, so I was like 5'2".
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Wow. You were a late grower.
Oh, like a lot of kids, I did the grow out, then grow up. So
yeah. No one cares, but I did that too. But it was in 7th grade.
That means there's too much time to talk. There's too much time to type. So the most tilt I ever feel in Heroes of the Storm really is when there's a long queue after I lost, because I'm sitting there, chat's sitting there, and we have nothing to talk about but how much we sucked in the previous game.
Hey, at least you're aware of these things and maybe can learn how to adjust to them mentally.
Yeah.
And I'm not at all making reference to the things I notice in my own self but don't grow from.
Well, it's an ongoing process.
Yep.
That self-improvement.
Yep. Yes, it is. Well, before we get into the news, man, you want to thank the lovely folks that like pay us?
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know about you, man, but like it's still, as we're closing in on like 400 episodes later, it's still amazing that we can make a good chunk of our living from doing this show. And that's because of our patrons over patreon.com/ITN. Thank you so much for the support, everybody. And if you're out there listening and you like this show, consider supporting us. It's completely opt-in. We're never going to put the show behind a paywall or anything, but go check it out. Patreon.com/ITN. You'll get access to our Discord. You can join us for our patron game nights. We're doing one tonight. The patron bonanza is tonight. Do a ton of games with our lovely, lovely supporters. And we'll thank you like we will Joshua Riley. Joshua, thank you for your support. Really appreciate it. You ready for the bonanza tonight, man?
Oh yeah. Well, I think we have a Stitches in game 1 even, so we're gonna be getting weird and unranked.
I didn't check signups yet. Did they seriously just write Stitches and roll?
Yeah, I think we're gonna do a Stitches game 1. I might play into for that. Let's see what happens.
But hold on, did they write frontline Stitches or they just write Stitches?
That's a good point.
I want specificity.
It's an important preference to make.
Yeah.
Let me see. I think it just says Stitches, man. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's rough, man. That's rough. I don't know.
Technically, it says or Stitches, so they were aware. They didn't want to tilt you.
No, I want to bring it.
Bring it.
I want to see your Stitches.
We got a second or Stitches here in game 2, so it's going to be a Stitch-filled night. Everyone wants to convince you.
I'm going to windmill slam Stitches in one of those games. Just see everyone react. And then we're going to lose horribly because I haven't played Stitches in like over a year.
Oh, as long as you're not going for big money hooks, it's really not too different than playing Garage. Okay, that's not easy. You just need stuff to bite in range. Really,
listen, man, I can stand in the way of things. I'm very good at that. Very good at that. Yeah. Yeah, we'll do it. So that'll be tonight. Twitch.tv/Kyle Fergusson if you want to watch live. If you're watching live now, if you're hearing this on the podcast, might be too late unless you're hearing it shortly after we posted the episode. So anyways, let's
just go.
Yeah, it just goes, man. It just goes. Let's get into this week's Heroes of the Storm news.
We're on, boys! Ha-ha! Let's liven up this place!
The moment is upon us.
Yes, I'd mana tap that.
And so we continue to wait. There's no patch yet, but D. Warner, Kyle, let us know in Lord of the Rings fashion. This is wonderful. I don't know if I told you this, Kyle, but I recently started rewatching Lord of the Rings for the first time in a very long time. We broke up Fellowship into 2 parts because we had the extended edition on Blu-ray, and they just straight up cut that stuff in half.
It's a great stopping point.
Yeah, Fellowship, dude. I think the older you get, the more Fellowship becomes your favorite Lord of the Rings movie.
It is
so good.
It's so good.
It's so good.
It's got the down part of like Empire Strikes Back, but it's got the hopeful first half. Like, it is a complete movie. It is just the best, and it's just like real D&D groups. You start with 9 people, and eventually you end up with 2 different groups with 3 people in them.
I thought you were gonna. I was like, I don't know about that. I thought you were gonna go with you start taking it very seriously, and by the end of it, you're playing Thor Ragnarok.
No, like literally,
Okay.
like you've got this guy who's played a lot before, so he takes the Gandalf role, but then like he moves away, but he can visit like once a month, so you kind of write this weird like role where he keeps coming back in, and you keep having to level him up because he's trying to match the other characters.
So in case anyone doesn't know where the hell we're going with this, because if you didn't see D. Warner's comment on Reddit, you're probably a little lost. But D. Warner announced the lack of a patch by quoting Lord of the Rings, saying, "I see in your eyes the same fear that would take the heart of me. A day may come when the courage of tearless fail, when we forsake our meta and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day. An hour of nerfs and buffs, when the age of Diva comes crashing down. But it is not this day!"
For balance, we whisper as we charge forward.
I was going to say for murky, but okay.
Okay, yeah. Would he be? I get. Yeah, maybe Gollum would be the murky if we had to do the full. So what the? It's easy to say the hobbits are lost Vikings, but it kind of works out.
It does kind of work out.
Yeah.
They're a little. The lost Vikings are a little broy.
They are.
The hobbits are much more like garden folk. But sure, we'll go with it. We'll go.
Yeah.
It works out.
Maybe it's more of like a. Maybe it's more like you're not really sure where your DPS all is in one lane together, and you got the tank and the support. That'd be Frodo and Sam. They're not going to die, but they sure as heck aren't going to get a lot done.
Oh, Soph in the chat room says Merry and Pippin are the lost Vikings, and that works.
Okay.
Because Merry and Pippin are they're kind of broy in like the most like emotionally in touch way you could possibly be broy.
Right. They're not really like impacting the map in a way that you can understand, but if you embrace them, they have a heavy influence on your willingness to stick together in the 4-man. I don't know. Maybe Bill the Pony is the third Lost Vikings or something.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we've hit a new cadence, man. It might only be like 1 week longer than we were used to, but like I am actually feeling that week. And I wonder and want to hear from our listeners because I want to know, like, hey, are you not a Heroes of the Storm content creator? Because how does it feel for you? Because you and we're gonna have a biased side to this, right? Because we do a podcast every Thursday about Heroes of the Storm. And so the ease at which we write a show is directly related to how frequently updates happen. Frankly, you and it is a wonder. I won't throw you under this bus. I complain about anything. It's a wonder I ever complain about anything in this game, Kyle, because as long as things happen, my job is easy to do. I should be happy no matter what the changes are. You nerf Sonya? Ah, damn, that sucks. I'm going to have to learn something new, but at least the show writes itself.
Oh, of course. They need to be concerned about the show, not the balance of the game. Damn, they've been messing up. No, I get you. I get you. It does feel burdensome that we've been banning D.Va for so long. That's not fair to the team because we just got done banning Cassia for so long. And then there's always the lingering aftershocks of that nerf before people know if it's good or not, or if they should change their build. And I think the board with Cassia is basically keep the same build. It's just not as good as it was. So if you love Cassia, keep playing her, but otherwise we're not too concerned anymore. Same thing sort of happened with Tassadar in my experience. I
love how they have melded kind of into feeling like that's just their role now. They are the way like post rework. Tassadar to me, I see one. I no longer think about how Tassadar used to play. I think about current Tassadar. It just snaps into my mind. I know what he's capable of, and I know how to react. And the same goes for Cassie. Not that her kit changed, I think, as drastically as Tassadar's, but I was still thinking about her new power level quite a bit. And now I'm not really thinking about it anymore. She's just Cassia. Tassadar is just Tassadar. Gazlo is just Gazlo. You know, all these reworks, they feel normal now. Except for D.Va, because it just feels like ban that or die.
In my experience, it's the mini missiles at melee range that are really throwing people for a loop. And of course, D.Va is doing a lot of surprise things like canceling out the lane clear of Zul and Sonya and winning those matchups in a rather bizarre way, like not in a dueling kind of way, simply in a you deal no hero damage right now kind of way, and it ruins your little moment of lane clear. Then the bombs and everything else, like if you're trying to do Zul, Sonya, Sammy, there are so many things that a bomb can just stop you from doing that it end up being really oppressive when you increase that pick rate.
Yeah. Yeah, so again, I guess where my brain is like, I'm happy playing the game, and I guess that's like the most important thing at the end of the day, right? Even though if you ask me, like, are we getting updates often enough? I would say, I don't necessarily think so. I think that's my gut reaction. I'd like to see it a little bit sooner. But at the same time, I'm not unhappy with the meta.
I will say when it comes to updates, I feel quite a bit differently than I do with something like Magic the Gathering Arena or Battlegrounds. Those things drive me nuts. Heroes updates pretty darn fast because it's mostly number changes. Or it's like copying from the PTR, you know, I've already downloaded in some way. I'm at a computer in the first place, not a phone, not a laptop. But when I sit down and it's 10:30 at night and I want to play a game and it's like, by the way, 2 gigs. I'm like, of images, of random voice lines I can't really understand in the first place. I'm not sure what they're saying half the time. I make up my own words to it. And I have to wait to play this simple game? Are you crazy?
Yes, Kyle.
That's how I feel.
You're playing on your phone, aren't you? Because if it's your computer, I'm assuming it would just have auto-updated.
I mean, no, I play on a laptop, but you know, the Wi-Fi.
Oh, but the laptop isn't on.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair. I feel your pain, man. I feel your pain. But elementals are very cool in Battlegrounds. if you can draft them, 6 out of the 8 people will probably be drafting them. But anyways.
Yeah. I won with Murlocs that last night. That was nice.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
No one was doing Murlocs.
They can actually beat the freaking elementals too because they can get poisonous. But this has been the Angry Chicken Kyle edition. Hope you enjoyed.
It's full of misinformation and it's mostly wrong, and he doesn't know what the meta is. But no, if we do need to acknowledge that it is reaching a permanence. Let's not use the C word. The permanence of about 4 weeks now, after a big rework has come out, and it does leave us wanting. I really want to return to something more map based, and I'm curious if we could have that again. I'm really interested in this like lane clear stitches stuff. I'm really interested how we can change around characters that have low pick rates, low popularity, and get them in the game more often. Or just give them a role that they can perform that's not always owning. Like Maiev. Awesome character. Awesome. I gotta land everything cool. You got Naisha's Memento, which allows you to do a Giant's Camp in pretty good speed. Kerrigan's got Infernal Shrines. can we give more heroes like these little things that I can do in addition to them so I can start to explore them? What is Valeera for? Valeera's for getting locked out completely or owning fools? Where's the in-between there? Can Valeera have a little lane clear maybe on her dagger spinny thing?
Fan of Knives.
No, that's not it. Valeera? What was she do? Blade Fury.
Blade. Oh, I'm sorry. How dare I?
I know the blades, and they spin and they throw, and the Blade Fury is the one in World of Warcraft that increases your attack speed, right? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, isn't Fan of Knives the AOE? I don't remember.
Fan of Knives the one that goes and makes all that makes all that noise all the time.
Yeah. Blade Flurry. I think you're right. It's been a lot. I have played a rogue this year in World of Warcraft, but I just know my hotkeys. I don't know what they're called.
Sinister Strike is perfectly named because it does what it does. But like Nova, she's I agree with that. She has really weird mana tension for someone who can hang out for so long. Is there a way that we can encourage those? Like, there's so many low pick heroes that maybe don't need full reworks that have map availability, like Alexstrasza. What can we do for them? That's what I'm looking for in this next patch.
Okay, so you're not necessarily saying like let's just like pull back on just certain powerful characters, but let's also, in addition to that, focus on bringing a little bit more like map specialty to certain heroes and their kits.
Yeah,
I can totally get on board for that. Because it's interesting with the reworks being, I think, overall successful, and when they're not, they balance them to be. I mean, think of like Launch Cassia, like that was a little rough, right? On the underpowered side of things. But people, I feel like I feel like this year, if I have to kind of look at 2020 Heroes of the Storm and find a pattern of what I've experienced playing, is that I find it feels like more people know how to play their heroes. And I attribute that to the string of successful reworks because it gets people excited. They log a lot of games with those heroes, and then they bring those heroes into a draft environment.
That's a cool note. I like that.
I have no idea. I could be completely wrong, but that's just like it's a trend. It seems like a trend to me, which I dig. And by the way, if listeners at home, you were missing out. The chat room has, for the last 10 minutes, not stopped casting all of Lord of the Rings with Heroes of the Storm characters.
How can you not?
Is Rag Sauron? There was a lot of
no. It's Leoric, Drain Hope, and March of the Black King, and yeah.
Oh yeah, he's got the big mace swing, and everyone just goes
and
flying.
the swagger. Like the kit is probably more, at least the knockback Yrel, but it's the swagger. And then he becomes Abba. Yeah, no, they're so right. Yeah, he becomes Abba in the tower, buffing people and making them go crazy.
Yeah, Corny makes a good point that Leo is the Wraith King. I mean, like straight up looks like him for one.
Oh, sure. The crown and all that.
That's a hard one to argue. Rag is Balrog. Okay. Rag is Balrog. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Isn't his... I forget his name. Who's the one who put the enchantment on pets in vanilla that exploded in town and killed everybody?
What?
There was a boss, and the chat maybe will help me out, but there was a boss that made characters explode and passed like a disease.
Were you talking about the Blood Plague?
Yeah, Blood Plague.
That was in ZA, wasn't it? Not ZA, ZG. Zolgura boss. God, I don't remember. But it's a Blood Plague, I think, is what you're talking about. Anyways, off topic.
Anyway, Balrog, I'd love a big demon model.
Hakar the Soul Flayer. Thank you, Garson in the chat room.
Yeah,
thank you very much. But yeah.
Anyways, speaking of which at all, but getting corrected and remembering things. During our BlizzCon talk last episode, we were sitting around being like, oh man, I don't really know what I want. Like, I'm just excited for the end of the year hero. My brain didn't even register on that announcement they put out that it's in February. I just saw like the 20th, and I'm like, 20th of November, because it's BlizzCon, because it's going to be a digital BlizzCon. Why is that thing in February? I guess because they got to put it together.
Yeah.
I mean, I respect the human element that then takes work to put a presentation together, but February?
Yeah, I mean, they had already pre-announced that it was going to be in 2021 when they announced that BlizzCon 2020 was definitely not going to be happening. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, Corny in the chat room says logistics. That's kind of where my brain goes. Like, I think it's easy to look at a company like Blizzard and go, oh, they have a license to print money. They could make anything happen as quickly as they would like. At this, I look at it and go, that company is so large. There's no way they're going to all agree on how to do this. Like, that's where my brain goes. So,
well, I was barking up the wrong tree. I'm excited for the hero we're supposed to get by the end of the year.
Also, I'm just now seeing this because this news apparently went up 14 minutes ago, and not Heroes of the Storm related, but to speak of things that maybe take longer than you think it's going to take. Shadowlands expansion was just delayed.
Indefinitely?
No, not indefinitely, but just. I mean, I'm going off of headlines at this moment. So. Yeah.
They're all playing Cyberpunk. They all wanted to play Cyberpunk.
They just want to play Cyberpunk.
Yeah, they're like, we can't compete with Cyberpunk, man. This is no fly zone.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so much. Dude, 2020 it's 2020. Like, I'm not gonna say anything that you, listener at home, hasn't heard already. None of us were prepared for this. It has affected everyone in some way. All right.
We've all been playing old games this year.
Yes.
It's fine.
Yeah. And some of them are new old games like Tony Hawk, which I'm still loving the crap out of. Like, things are getting pushed. Like, doesn't surprise me. We had this talk over on the Angry Chicken too. I think Hearthstone's gonna hit its cadence more or less. I wouldn't be surprised if the final expansion of the year comes out a little bit later than usual, but I guarantee you we're gonna have expansion number 3 before 2021 in Hearthstone. But like everything else, I feel like everything's gonna just get a little delayed.
Oh, it's gotten weird, man. Magic the Gathering is a really interesting story right now, where basically lockdown started and everybody was Magic was like, well, we want drafts to happen in game stores. We're just gonna not release any sets for a while. And then they're noticing it's going on a while, so they're like, okay, just release all the sets, everything that was behind the floodgate, just let it all out. And there's so many cards and so many sets back to back. It's gonna be crazy over there. So. Yeah. Heroes was consistent. At the end of this conversation, let's just applaud Heroes for being actually rocking it.
Yeah, it's been a good year. It's been good. And here we are talking about like one extra week and what we kind of got used to as the rollout of updates. But yeah, just all these thoughts, all these things, you know, as we nestle into freaking quarantine week 7,000 that are affecting my brain. But let's talk about it, an aspect of Heroes of the Storm we don't usually talk about because the community is talking about it, which is ARAM.
Yes,
I have actually played some ARAM in the last month.
You did?
Yes, multiple times. Okay. I'm kind of enjoying it.
Oh, okay.
We haven't talked. We've had a lot of stuff to talk about. We had Brew on and not Paradox, and then we had to wrap our heads around Diva reworks and whatnot. But I have actually snuck a few ARAM games in here and there. And it's not like much has changed, but for some reason I was just like, well, now it counts for quests. Let me go give it a shot. And like, damn it, dude, it's kind of fun.
Okay.
I've been having a good time. I just like one time it was just like I was the only person who had a healer offered, and they're like, please go Morales. And I'm like, all right, I'll do it. I haven't played Morales in forever. And I just felt like a god. I was just saving everyone's bacon. It was just fun. It's a good time.
All right. My NGS team is kind of into it. They like to do it for a warm up, but I don't.
I think I'm starting to lean that way. I think it might become the way I warm up before I go into a game of Storm League instead of quick match. Because in a weird, this is what I didn't expect, and this is kind of where the conversation, at least in our community, has been going, which is kind of that limited pick aspect of ARAM. It's yielding, in my few recent experiences, more sensible compositions than anything I ever seen quick match.
That's true. So there's this is expanded a little bit too, because there has been a discovery that ARAM is more efficient for leveling a new account, particularly with the quests being completable in there. But also, they went through and stealth updated the gold to match quick match and draft. So you get, you gold for winning, but you get the same amount of gold for losing and the bonus gold for winning as you do in those more serious environments. There's also a lot of XP to be had in there.
And the comps make sense sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes. I fought against the double Arthas yesterday, and that was fun. That was interesting. They lost horribly. But yeah.
Oh. A double investment in sadness.
But yeah, I was laughing my butt off in my randomly assigned Death Knight May skin, like launching myself into a double Arthas frontline. It was fun.
Oh, the new faces the old. All right, we won't belabor it, but the XP is really good for the winning team. And because winning has such benefited rewards in that ARAM environment, people are being motivated to win and play it more seriously now. You put on top of that a 5-stack bonus. This is the primary way that new players and Smurf accounts are leveling up right now.
So you're seeing like GM's 17th account just throwing down murdering fools in ARAM.
Exactly.
Nice.
And
good.
When compared to something like $750 per hero, we can get a week's worth boost for $5. That's the path they're taking in order to get that basic roster up and running and then get back in the Storm League.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way. Where's your head at with that? I mean, how deep into this do we want to go? Do we want, because my brain immediately starts running away with this. Like, does the entire game kind of need a reward overhaul? You know me, any chance I can get to go to war with the gem system, I'd like to take it. But I guess let's keep the focus on ARAM. Is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Do we care?
I think you can fall in love with a hero in ARAM. So if we're thinking about like the financial side of things, with encouraging people to try the game, buy a hero, support the game, it's probably working just fine. And then you can dress them up, and then you might explore other modes and all that sort of business. I don't think it's an education problem. I'm not really concerned. There was on the top of Reddit today the ARAM tier list, which is fun to look at, and it's basically stacking heroes. Often lead the way, like Zul'jin is 3 S's and a plus sign apparently. So he's really good.
I believe that's Super Saiyan God.
Yeah,
I think that's
pretty
the
much.
level.
Is that what they're at now?
What J in there? I think they've ascended even beyond that. I have a lot of catching up to do. I barely scratched the surface of DBS.
But bottom of that, which is triple F tier minus, is Valera, which I absolutely understand, because I would not want to be Valera in the middle of that.
Everyone is in the same lane.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Splash damage flying around. What are you going to do?
Listen, Kyle, I'm going to take a teacup. I'm going to put it out in the field, and then us, you, me, and 3 of our best friends are going to put on some blindfolds and launch mortars. Do you think the teacup is gonna make it? Oh, and then on the other side, there'll be 5 of our other friends with their own mortars blindly firing into the middle of the field.
This is all an interesting result of them making ARAM more seductive, particularly with the quest thing. This whole gold update and XP update was sort of under the rug, which is fine. But if people, and I've heard a lot of them saying that, I get better matches, I have a better experience in ARAM because of the pick select hero option, maybe that's where we need to go, just in our other quick match mode.
I kind of like that. There's still, as someone who's been frequently frustrated with quick match and my experiences in it, I still just feel like this game needs a mode where you just lock in what you want to play and go.
Yeah.
But it's difficult to make an argument beyond that. Like, it just feels to me like it's something this game should have. It's something that's very unique to Heroes of the Storm, but having actually played a little bit of ARAM, boy, it's nice.
I like my setup. I like my XComs, my Darkest Dungeons. I would love a I would love quick match for my own purposes to be like, select 3 of each role and we'll ignore support and that for now. That can be part of like assassin or something, but select 3 and we will give you those 3 as your selection. So you end up with tank, here's your 3 tanks, you end up with support, here's the 3 supports you'd like to try out, and then we get going on quick match.
It'd be a good exercise in actively thinking about your roster, right? And also kind of guiding you to think about filling. Something that if you end up going to go do a draft, you're eventually going to be faced with that scenario, right? And it's, I don't know, it's such an interesting thing, because I think another aspect that maybe some folks aren't considering for ARAM is like, I think subliminally for a lot of us, you might just be having a good time because you don't take it as seriously. There's probably a little bit of that at play. Would you disagree with that?
From what I've heard, yes. For my own purposes, I agree with you. Because that's how I would use ARAM when I play it. But with people who are grinding out a fresh account, winning is such a huge part of the XP bonus, the gold bonus, that they take it very seriously. And anyone messing with that algorithm for them is ruining their efficient time at getting ready for Storm League.
I guess I was kind of intentionally dancing around this because I didn't want to get into another conversation of where do we stand on Smurfs. But like, I think whether you like them or dislike them, I guess I'm just not that interested in try-harding for Smurf accounts. Like, whatever, that's fine if they want to make it more serious than I think it may be intended to be. But I don't know. It's an interesting system that I didn't give respect to, which is like the hero select aspect of ARAM. It is a really interesting piece of interface.
It's fun.
Yeah. It's a good time. I think more and more how I'm going to end up warming up. And you're going to see me on some weird heroes as a result. You'd be like, yeah, what are you doing on Stitches?
We could have a bonanza in ARAM if everyone's enjoying it, you know?
We could. Oh.
I mean, they basically go as long as normal games. That is not a benefit of ARAM.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that'd be interesting. I don't know. Whole night of it. I don't know.
To speak positively about the evolution, I think they've settled in a really good spot.
Mm-hmm.
Like loot boxes, like battle passes, Brawl was just this weird thing that it felt like every game company all agreed was the best thing ever for a short amount of time.
Blizzard specifically, I think.
It was specifically Blizzard, yes. And outside of the odd little PvE ones, Hearthstone included, I didn't really fall in love with it.
You and I feel like have a healthy mix of agreeing and disagreeing on things, and or slightly different spins on it. But boy, are we in alignment here. Like, brawls don't do it for me. When I did play Overwatch, I never played it in that mode. It's my least played mode in Hearthstone. Probably barely above Arena, but still, Brawl is just nothing for me in that game. And I could probably count on both my hands the amount of times I played it in Heroes of the Storm. But that's you and I, right? That's taste. I mean, I had friends in game that played the crap out of Heroes of the Storm's Brawl, and I think you did too. But whatever, it's interesting for sure. But yeah, I like where ARAM is at.
I think the thing that ARAM makes me note is that it is more important to me to have a good draft system of some kind, a hero select that makes a team that functions, rather than knowing what the map is or queuing as a certain role.
Yeah, it makes me want to try it in quick match. Whether it's we get a new tab that is just quick match with ARAM's hero select or something, or like a 2 weeks of it. I don't know if that's even something they could do. Like, we're patching this in, it's got a 2-week timer, try it, let us know how you feel. Something of that nature, because it is just such an interesting piece of design within a role-based MOBA like this. And so, yeah, like so many times ARAM gets brought up and I'm just like, okay, moving on with my life. Not interested in this, but the conversations have been happening in our Discord and around the Heroes of the Storm, socially distanced virtual water cooler. They're interesting. I've really had my interest piqued in all of the, think tank discussions around how to apply the hero select system in ARAM to other avenues or other areas in Heroes of the Storm.
And if you want to know what map you're going to be on, there's Unranked Draft. I think this is really highlighting the issue with Quick Match now that we have ARAM being so official and set.
Crazy. Let's aim for it. Maybe we're focusing on the wrong thing. Maybe unranked goes away for this variant of Quick Match. I feel like so much of the conversation is about applying this to Quick Match, and I'm resistant to being able to have some way of playing this game where I just want to play this hero. This is the hero I want to play. And I forsake all other concerns about game quality.
And that's ARAM for you now. That's cool.
Yeah, do we need unranked, I guess, if we had to think about not overbloating the game with too many modes again.
That is a tough decision, and we've been down that road many times, and there's a lot of dedicated unranked people. The weird thing about unranked in an age of NGS and Heroes Lounge is that it's often used for smashing and trying wombo combos, which is not the learning environment people say it should be.
That's the learning environment, right? Like we always come back around to that, and it's at a certain point I don't think you can force it, but I do think there's merit in conversations about guiding it. And I think ARAM guides it. I think ARAM's Hero Select is a gentle guiding hand that I kind of dig.
It also showcases just how fun so many different heroes are, where when you have to own them, dress them up, get them ready, and then you still end up in a team that doesn't work or for a bad map for you, it just doesn't have the same joy. I didn't expect it, man. I think this really convinced me that I'm gonna warm up in ARAM. That feels weird. But Quick Matches just isn't very valuable. Oh, weird.
Here we are.
Weird.
Here we are.
Do you have to write down your quests, right? Like I have to have a little notebook that says okay, Overwatch, Assassin, and win 3 games. And then when I get in the game, I then have to be Overwatch, Assassin amongst my 3 picks, or does it?
Is it such a bad thing?
I guess it's not bad. It's not bad.
I don't say I was not paying attention, but I don't think there's any sort of indication of. I don't think it highlights heroes that you have quests for.
Okay, that'd be a decent feature. But I play Storm League, which just completes quests, so I never really know what's going on.
Yeah, that's what post-its are for, man. Or a second monitor with a notepad open.
True. Or a phone. I use a phone notepad program.
Yeah. Before we move on, I know we wanted to touch back on medallions again. We've had them for a while. Are you still in the yay medallion column, or have they started to wear out their welcome for you?
I don't think they've worn out their welcome. I just don't know if they brought anything to the game, as funny as that is. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I think it's a fabulous experiment. I think they are very valuable when anchoring on Diablo, so that when the whole team of CC comes running at me, I can walk away from certain abilities that might be faster long range. I may not be a good judge as a tank main player at the moment.
You're learning, though. You're learning. We mentioned this at the top of the show.
Right. I use it mainly to get out of positions that I am anchoring for on lower mobility heroes like Diablo.
Yep.
As for the assassin plays, as for, I like the supports having them. The sweet support escape has been very valuable. But I don't feel like I've ever seen an assassin in particular make a play based on their medallion being ready. And there was a meme going around, and it's so true, that you only hit it when you're low health and you die anyway. Because that's when you go, what can I do? What buttons on this keyboard could possibly... I know one. And you press it. And
oh, wait, it's not Divine Shield.
It's far too late to do anything like that with. Do we change this out? Is another question. Do we just go on to the next one. Short range blink being one that we can just, take right from League of Legends. Everybody gets a short range blink about the size of what's the most disappointing blink in the game. I think Sylvanas is a little small compared to how she usually hunting waves around.
Yeah. Is it just by comparison though? Because I'm trying to think of actual blink range, and I'm coming up short with solid memory.
Sammy has a talent that allows him to blink like 5 feet forward, and people take it all the time because the talent tier isn't very interesting.
There you go. Done.
That'd be enough to just like get over a hump.
I don't hate the idea of like swapping that out. I don't know if the developers would hate that idea, but it'd be kind of cool if it was just like, you know what, next season, yeah, everyone gets blink. Season after that, I don't know, who knows? A speed boost? Sure, maybe, right? Just play around with them, get some data. End of 2020, go, hey, this seemed to have the most impact. We think we're going to stick with this for now.
Everyone gets a possession that they can grab some stuff with. Everyone gets a bribe. Like, there's an option where we just kind of go through various augments to see what people enjoy. Yeah. Although, my concerns about triumvirate freaking Li Ming's right now, the thought of her having one more tool to orient perfectly for her high skill talent. Wait, which one? Oh, you keep talking about a short range blink. An additional blink to Li Ming. Yeah. Seems no, maybe, yeah. No, that's fair. And much like our white main example, there are enough unstoppables on that particular team for Kel'Thuzad to deal with. Why do we have to have a Gladiator's medallion at the moment? Yeah. But I don't think as a just normal, non-aggressive opinion device, I don't think medallions have had an impact that has been terribly interesting. And I wish they had. And I wish that it hadn't encouraged me to do some cool Mal'Ganis things. But frankly, I was going to get away with that Mal'Ganis life swap in the first place because the enemy main tank is Arthas and he's not going to interrupt me anyway. And that's why I did Dark Conversion instead of the other one. And just, it's just, it's made anchoring possible. One of the more bizarre jobs of a tank. Yeah, especially that exists within Heroes of the Storm. Yeah. There's so many things that don't. Yeah, it's difficult to argue with that. You make me think of our parting thoughts on the weather anomaly before it actually went away, right? Which was, for all my extreme pushback when it was announced, when we actually got it, it just felt like, in the most part, this didn't really just change much or have much. We weren't using it. Yeah. Other than, of course, that battle. I will never forget, of course, the battle in the top bush on Battlefield of Eternity where Greymane versus Yrel, and we couldn't hit each other because we both kept randomly getting stealth every few seconds as we tried to battle together. That happened to me fighting a Artanis, I believe. Same map. Yeah, because we all battled in that little bush there. Yeah, it's one of the. Yeah, I think my thought on it is I am not mad that it's in the game, but I'm also not really excited that it's in the game. I just don't have a strong feeling now that Medallion's been in for a little while. There is an option that things do go more League of Legends again in that way, and that you get to pick what your trinket is. Granted, I do like customization. Yeah, yes. It of course, much like talents and everything else, these things, particularly World of Warcraft talents are what come to mind, but things that look like they're customizable actually are just very rigid ways to be wrong. And giving ETC a short range teleport is more powerful than giving him a 1 second unstoppable in the end. And so every ETC should equip this one type of trinket instead of another. Yeah, that's, I guess I don't know. I don't mind it. I kind of accept that reality. And it's just an additional button. It's an additional layer of intrigue, of potential intrigue anyway, right? Of potential cooldowns you need to keep or be mindful of. So, who knows? I wouldn't mind an anomaly. Again, these things have been shown to be impermanent if they are not effective. So why not try it and see where it goes? Yeah, I actually, if I were to want to try something with the medallion as it is, I would love to see a cooldown reduction every time you receive CC. So if the enemy team is just complete lockdown city, you can increase your awareness of it over time and adapt to it by having more medallions and knowing when they can be used.
I like that. I like that. Also diminishing returns on like complete and total stun stacking.
Yeah.
I don't look at that as, my gut reaction is not, that's a bad thing. Because it's a little ridiculous.
It's all on one button. You know, at that point, we could maybe declare it of importance, put it on the tab screen so we can see that cooldown. Not necessarily the enemies. I don't think it's a big deal that I don't know. You know, I don't know the Gazlo bomb on the enemy side and if that's going to be good or not. That's fine. That should be something that I'm aware of. And
it's good, Kyle.
As a good player, it's
good. The Gazlo bomb.
It is good. It's good. Speaking of talents, we got a strategy section here about talents.
We do. I haven't played this in a while.
Choose a talent.
Choose a talent.
Talent? Ah, that seems generous.
Don't reveal our plans to our foes. I mean it. Not a word.
So Kyle, you uncovered a feature you apparently haven't been using on Hotslogs.
Nope, I didn't even know it existed, though it's totally been there for who knows how long, and I'm sorry to the developers over at Hotslogs who have probably worked to keep it going despite my complete negligence of it. But I wanted to point it out to everybody because...
What hero do you want me to bring up?
You know, that's a great question. Instead, first let me talk about bronze and silver, because I've been doing some replay reviews for folks over on my Twitch channel. And a lot of the time, it's just that people have bad talent builds. And that shouldn't be an issue. And I think it's awesome that over on Hotslogs, if you go to, you know, additional filters, make your way over to, if you're full screen, of course, the top right-hand corner, it says all talents. Select highest win rate talent builds. And except for the heroes that I just have no idea what it looks like, these seem extremely accurate and will give you just an idea of if you're picking something that is winning. And then you can answer the whole like question of, are you breaking the rules on purpose? Not because you don't have the knowledge or because you are wrongfully taught. You are just saying, this particular Diablo game, I'm going to do Flame Stomp build because I know it'll be better in this situation. But I'm aware that 4,000 Diablos with the highest win rate of 56% take an auto attack build.
So I have to admit something that will sound insane, which is I haven't been using this either. Because I kind of keep forgetting it exists. But yeah, it's wild. I mean, I usually just kind of look at heroes I want to play. But because of this filter, you can see winningest builds for like every hero very quickly and get a good idea of what's going on. And so
it also can help you see a hero that is highly unpopular or considered bad and what they should be doing instead. And like a great example of this is 73% win rate, Battered Assault Illidan. This is the level 1 talent. You have Sweeping Strike. If it hits 2 heroes, its damage bonus is increased from 35% to 125%. So it's not that you just love Illidan. It's not that you think you might be good on decent maps. The way you get this absurd win rate with Illidan is by noting that you're going to be in a situation where you can actually do that short range, I guess it's a teleport of sort, but a missile attack of your body, sweeping across 2 enemies and hitting them.
And thank you. You're already getting into, I think, the important thing to note when just looking at talent builds, right? Is to try and take some time to understand why the talents that are being picked are the ones being picked, how they actually augment your abilities, because that's really important as well.
The funny thing about this is that when everybody has the right talent build, nobody is below 50%. The lowest we go is Medivh at 51% win rate. Everybody else is going up to 78% on Sammy. Ariel. Gull's there too with the Lead and Orb build that we've talked a little bit about.
Yeah, that shouldn't surprise us. We talked about it last week. That's I never thought of it that way, man. I've looked at this a few times and I've never really thought about how important it is that almost every hero in the game is over a 50% win rate.
When properly talented, which could also say properly drafted, like the Illidan example.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because the games played on some of these are extremely low. So you should take some of this stuff with certain grains of salt.
Oh, sure. Like Balganis is a great example here, too. Someone I know a lot about. With Fueled by Torment at level 4, whenever you receive damage, you heal for 11. That's great into Tracer and Diva. We're going to do a lot of little, natty stings and buzz around you. You're going to recover a ton of health doing that. But probably not very useful against Sergeant Hammer, who doesn't attack you as often for a big number.
Yeah, which is another thing we haven't talked about in a while. I feel like we used to spend more time talking about quick match and the weird ways you would adjust your talent builds to the strange compositions you would find yourself in. But like going along with the conversation about ARAM we've been having, like this is where that could apply as well. Like this is a good building block, but then you find yourself in a particularly strange situation where it feels like X talent will not get value against Y hero composition. And that's where you can start experimenting. But it's good to have these building blocks.
It's good to have a baseline as to why things are run the way they are. And it's a strategy section. So let's make an obvious statement. It's important to read all the text.
Yeah.
There's a lot,
I mean, that's what
a
I
lot
was,
of text.
Yeah. Because if you're just blindly picking these, but you're not, using the main ability that you're building into as often as possible, are you getting the value out of it? Are you actually getting value out of the build that you're going? These are important things to know. So, and also like, it may sound obvious, but dude, how many times have I'm coming up short on remembering a good example of a talent that we definitely misunderstood the way it worked because we just assumed something, but that has happened to both of us.
Oh yeah. The one I remember the most is Johanna Blessed Shield.
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
That there was some sort of reduction on not hitting your primary target because I was using it against walls and whatever. Because I'm like, I'm not going to aim this thing. It bounces around after all.
Yep. But it was better to actually hit a primary hero with it.
Exactly. By double the stun duration.
Yep. Which is why it's very important to read and read closely.
I encourage everybody to check this tab out over at Hot Slogs because it's a great way to get a good build. Or see a silly build that doesn't make a lot of sense, but is really good because it was taken in small situations. Use the data responsibly.
Yeah. And that's also what happens with like low win rates as well, is it may have a low games played is it may have a skewed win rate. But if you start to see like triple digits, definitely pay some mind. So, this Rexar build is weird.
There's some weird ones in there for sure.
I do like Wildfire Bear, but I never take it. But
there's also in that same upright tab, you could grab most popular talent builds. And these are, for the most part, pretty darn accurate. I haven't found anything that I actually vehemently disagree with. And these are the talent builds that you will get yelled at for not taking. I really struggle to see a single one in here that just makes zero sense.
Oh no, my Rexar is basic. I'm a basic Rexar, yep. Kyle.
Dude, so, we all tried to be unique, but uniqueness doesn't always win. I mean, one outlier here, which I find very interesting after our discussion about Gul'dan last week, is that his Drain Life build is the most popular. I would not have expected that. Or this one I totally believe, that Vala Hot Pursuit's auto attack build, Creed of the Hunter, is the most popular. That one I do believe, and I disagree with.
Fair.
And these most popular builds take us down to 41% win rate. So there are people out there swearing by their Dahaka build. This would be tissue regeneration.
I do believe Dahaka is one of the few that have a sub 50% on highest win rate as well. So if I go there, scroll down to the bottom. Oh, never mind. I was looking at most recent patch. So if I switch to most recent patch, Dahaka is down there.
Okay.
So yeah, all the way down at the bottom, Zarya and Dahaka with the highest win rate builds have sub 50% win rate builds.
I think it's also worthy of note when looking at this that your unending hatreds, your protector of ires, your stacking auto attack talents might not be very good. But they feel good. They can feel good. Nothing wrong with feeling good at times.
Yeah, chat room's taking issue with a Beetle build, a Nubarak being the most popular.
Oh, I believe it's most popular. It's the fun one.
Who doesn't want every chance I get? Every single chance I get, Kyle.
Right, they're putting bed of barbs on this so you get the slow, so the beetles catch up, and it's a seductive idea. I agree that it's not great.
Yeah,
but they could be surrounded in beetles, and you win a 1v1. Why are you doing that on a new Nubarak? You probably shouldn't. You probably should be exactly doing what we talked about last week, which is hiding in bushes, diving in out of that bush, getting a quick kill, and then going back to hiding in bushes. You're not a soak tank.
You should probably just be practicing because that tongue is very important.
Oh, on Dahaka?
Yeah.
That's the main reason.
Has never clicked for me. Dahaka feels like a hero that should be a mainstay in my roster, but has never really worked out.
The bummer potential is so high to end up somewhere you didn't need to be.
And then we were talking about tier lists last week, and Dahaka was very low. And
yeah. It's like Brightwing, I'm okay with. You show up, you miss the fight. Well, I'll go soak a lane, I'll go bribe something. There's all these other activities, but Dahaka, you show up, you miss the fight, now you're just stuck somewhere weird. Without the freedom and the bushes and all that. Bushes, I would love a bush overhaul, but that's a conversation for another time.
I think we talked about it a few weeks ago when we were talking about like what we would like to see from future anomalies.
We still heard that they were going to do something with maps. We don't know what that is.
What is it going to be? Who knows? Well, our suggestion of trying different items was so genius that I think we just
so stupid huge. Like they're like, oh, thank you into the Nexus.
We just delayed whatever the map anomaly was.
Yeah, we really blew their minds over at Blizzard, I'm sure. What's that idea?
It's going to be an ode to Dustin Browder. They're going to be adding destructible rocks, Kyle.
Oh, I'm sure. Just like the WoW team, they're like, hey, can we make raids harder? They're like, who said that? That's a great idea. Oh my God. Are you saying the content's not hard enough? Damn. We didn't think of it.
Oh, man. All right. You ready to take a question and wrap this up?
Let's do an email.
Darkness stopped calling.
Darkness just texted me.
It's not the mober, it's a hero brawler!
ITNcast@gmail.com is where you can send your emails. If you're a patron, you can also just drop us a message in the patron Discord. Skip the inbox entirely. Tactical Hot Dog writes in and says, with the latest email about Stitches, it makes me wonder, are low-tier heroes being played incorrectly or just not adapting talents for their role? Ooh, tie into what we just talked about. I love solo laning as Artanis, but I changed the way I talent him on 3 major variables: map objective, solo lane objective, and number of camps. For me, the idea of it depends is focused on talent/playstyle versus what hero to pick. What do we think? I think the most glaring thing I want to point out is that not every hero has talent options that allow this degree of consideration or build freedom.
That is fair. It can also be very difficult to tell early on what sort of damage types you're going to be receiving and if they're going to be going into you. And that's very much tank thought. But like Block Party, there are options on that tier that I really enjoy. Do I emergency Block Party, though, despite all of the blinds and other things my team might have, just because there's the chance Rainer might attack? Sometimes. But I also have my own independent projects. Like, I'll do... Okay, this probably isn't right to do. Illidan, he's not the biggest auto text in the world. But my brain totally just fills me with happy juices anytime I have a block versus Illidan, because I'm like, you healed for less, because your healing's based on the size of your auto attack. Take that. Illidan, you're stuck without healing. I did it.
Good example. I'm trying to pull up last week's tier because we were looking at Grubby's tier list last week, right? Yeah.
Right.
And I'm trying to look at low tier heroes that I don't think have a lot of wiggle room in terms of talents. And honestly, with Stitches, we were talking more about playstyle, not the way Stitches is built.
Well, we also talked about the difference between Gorge and how Gorge might encourage bad play. And I think that's fair because if you play a very walk-in, self-regenerate, re-engage style Stitches, your talents will be different than the Gorge walk-away Stitches. Because all my hooks are very short range. I would never do fishing hook for range on Stitches.
Yeah. That's interesting. Because, like, my solo laners, I don't really build all that different. I think probably the biggest decision I make is probably Nerves of Steel versus Giant Slammer on Sonya, and it just comes down to, I don't know, am I against a lot of high health frontliners? So I don't have a lot of personal anecdotes to pull from. I don't really build Rexar differently, ever. At the moment, I'm not building Gazlo differently, although apparently I should consider it because he has talent diversity, and there's decent win rates between those talents, but
I think the conversation gets more interesting outside of the solo lane, though. You often have one job to perform, in particular when you're thinking about Sonya and Rexar. You are going to do that job efficiently, or the team is going to lose it for you in most cases. Or they didn't ban D.Va in the current iteration of the game. Like Ragnaros has a great little decision to make, which is, do I need Blast Wave because I need to maneuver properly? Am I not going to be able to do my job unless I'm maneuvering? Or is this a stand and fight game where I'm going to go full smash and just hit that Q over and over again for as much survivability and damage as possible?
Yeah. So it's an interesting thought, but I mean, we just talked about Dahaka, and Dahaka came up last week as something that on a tier list would be considered not optimal. Artanis was brought up. But I mean, Hot Dog, you've Tactical Hot Dog, I don't know what to call you. TH,
old TH.
You have specialized here. Like, you clearly look like you it sounds like you have an understanding of Artanis, possibly a mastery. Haven't seen your Artanis in action, but like, that's where, and we've talked about this in the past. Like, yeah, something you could look at it, I don't know, 7 different tier lists, and like all of them could have Artanis on it. But at the end of the day, like, if you are extremely practiced with Artanis, that's where your prowess with said hero, I think, trumps everything else. And part of that, I think a part of that is your understanding of which talents to take in which scenarios. But you could have that understanding and have just crap mechanical execution as a hero, and it wouldn't matter that you had that talent understanding.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that is very true with these auto attack Valas. There are thinkers and there are players in this kind of game scenario. There are people who are much higher league than I, who never change their build, play the exact same way every single game, and looking at that 2,000 point master or whatever as Modan, complaining that they're not getting certain types of things in their match is just bizarre to me, because they could have adapted their play style to do it. But those players, because of their blindness, to maybe put it negatively, are so resilient to critique that they can play this game for hours on end without thinking about it. And therefore their win rate is higher because they simply put in more effort into the game and climbing.
Yeah. So I don't know. It is an interesting thought, but I don't really correlate the two. Like, on average, like, I don't know. At the end of the day, I really come back to the whole, it's like going way back to when Dunk Train used to be on the show. Burden of execution. Like, and I think the heroes that are just, it's easier to excel at what they are designed to do, at the role they are designed to perform, are just going to have higher win rates than those that you and I might refer to as too cute.
I agree with you in that Artanis is an interesting example of this, because we can take Battlefield of Eternity into account.
Yeah, it comes full circle to the top of the show where you're talking about how you'd like to see more map-specific hero design.
Right, and that's a great example of it, and it can do the work. Why didn't we make that burn, in this case on the objective, possible in our 4-man? Why are we relying on Artanis? Now we've increased that burden of execution. So I'm seeing where you disagree with it. It's the Zool problem or the mosh pit problem. There's something I do so particular that if it goes right, I will win so hard in this one situation that it's worth specking for it every single time, because that situation might come up and I might completely turn her game. Urel's armor minus talent at 16 is a good example of this too. You might just boop the most important target into the team and they explode.
Yes. Yeah. Although I personally consider Urel high burden of execution, but
absolutely.
But yeah, still a good example. And so I am very basic when it comes to this kind of stuff. It's like, do you know how to play the hero? Do you excel with this hero? Play that hero.
Then I do agree with Tactical Hot Dog. I think it's great that you have multiple builds picked out for each map. But we could, if we were cautioning you, you might be relying on the hero in too many situations.
Possibly, right? But like, I feel like more often than not, we would recommend someone trying to improve at Heroes of the Storm specialize and try not to play too many different heroes. But I'm getting the vibe that Tactical Hot Dog here might definitely has Artanis on lockdown and can start considering other roles.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it's certainly a part of the puzzle for sure, but I don't think it's the only factor, I guess, is where I land on this thought. So,
or it might be wrong and they're totally down for other heroes. They just want to isolate and point out that Stitches is probably building wrong and playing wrong at the same time. In which case,
it doesn't help.
We agree with you.
It definitely doesn't help to be building wrong. That is for damn sure.
Yeah. Hey, jumping back to strategy real quick, Garrett. Most popular talent builds. Bottom 10 win rate. Nope. Never. Bottom of the screen. Triumvirate. There you go.
Bottom of the screen for most popular?
Yeah, most popular win rates.
Li
Ming, Triumvirate, it's only 51%, bro.
It's more of a feel thing, Kyle. When it works, it works, and it feels like they had to do nothing to cause maximum chaos.
That's fair.
But that's, I don't know. Can we I don't know. I would love to trade Triumvirate for giving, let's give Li Ming some wave clear back and let's rain Triumvirate in, please. Thank you.
I think I stand by what I said last week. The punishment has to match the crime. And I think applying that thought process across the board to heroes could make some really interesting talent changes.
It's in line with what I'd like to see happen, so I agree with you.
All right.
Keep your emails coming, itncast@gmail.com. Again, if you're a patron, you can message us right there in the patron Discord, or just talk to us tonight when we go play some games with you all. Check out the Patreon over at patreon.com/ITN. That's going to bring us to the end of this show. Speaking of our patrons, Kyle, we have some lovely producers to thank. So thank you to our producers, Declan H., Cheesy Bob, Chris K., Mike C., and Sean B. Thank you for your support, you all. We really appreciate it. You can catch us live Thursdays over at twitch.tv/AMOVTV. Follow ITNcast to know when we're going live, if there's a delay, when new shows come out, all that kind of stuff. Twitter is great for that. But before we go, Kyle, you do all sorts of other awesome content. Where can everyone find you?
You can find me over at kyleferguson.com doing everything I do there. Be sure to check out the DM Gives Inspiration podcast, a 15-minute show on 5th edition dungeon mastering advice. You can also find my YouTube over at youtube.com/KyleFerguson. Everything is Kyle Fergusson with 2 S's in it, so check it out.
Sweet. I'm Garrett Art on Twitter, amove.tv for all of the podcasts that I produce. I would really like to point a light on youtube.com/amovetv because we're trying something a little bit different with the Angry Chicken, and the biggest news items from Hearthstone of the week are going on the YouTube as full-fledged YouTube videos, like actual video editing, its own beginning and ending. It's not just clipped out. I'm very proud of the efforts we've been making over there. I think the videos are looking really nice. So go check that out over at youtube.com/amovetv. We currently have videos up for the announcement of Dreamhaven, the new Elemental Heroes, and all 20 new Elemental minions that have hit Hearthstone Battlegrounds. So go check those individual videos out. Especially, maybe you're not listening to the podcast as much. Maybe you're not finding yourself commuting as much. I can't think of any reason why that would be the case.
No, surely not.
Or why statistically podcast listening is down across the board. And concerning, and maybe making me want to do things like make video content instead. So check it out, youtube.com/amovetv. I would appreciate it. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Into the Nexus. Until next time, good luck and have fun.
Take care.